This
Shubham
conference will now be recorded.
Vakbhadacharyamध्यamam Asmadacharyaparyandam Vande Guru Paramparam Ragadirogan Sadatanushaktan Sheshakaya Prasrudan Sheshan Aulsukyamoharadidan Jaghana Yogapurva Vaidyaya Namostu Tasmai. So I think we were discussing about Agni and Koshta. So now next is about the Prakriti. I think we have not discussed Prakriti. Koshta also we discussed, no? Yes, I think so. So today we will start with the Shuklartavasthair Janmadau Visheneva Vishakrimehe Taischa Tisra Prakritayo Hina Madhyottamaha Prathak. Shuklartavasthair Janmadau Visheneva Vishakrimehe Taischa Tisra Prakritayo Hina Madhyottamaha Prathak. Samadhadu Samastasu Shrestha Nindya Dvidoshaja. So before explaining this slogan, we should have some idea that what the Acharya is trying to do here. We saw that Agni is getting influenced by the Tridoshas in such a way that it becomes Vishama, Tikshna or Manda. Similarly, Koshta also get influenced by the doshas so that it becomes Krura, Mrudu or Madhya. We have explained it in detail. But what is the intention? What is the intention? In both the cases of Agni and Koshta, we see that there is a possibility of an ideal, a perfect thing. In the case of Agni, it was Samagni. It was Samagni. From that Samagni, a Samagni digests a properly taken food properly in terms of everything. That time and in what the word used is Samyag. Yapajed Samyagevannam Bhuktam Samyag Samastvasau. And the rest of the things, that means the Vishama, Tikshna and Manda are three sorts of departures from this ideal. It is the departures from the ideal. Similarly, in the case of Koshta, we have set an ideal, that is Samamadhya Koshtam. Samamadhya Koshtam is the ideal that we have set. The rest of the things are departures from this ideal or the normal. Ideal I will use because normal is a different thing. Normal is more concerned with the status of Prakriti. So here it is ideal. Samamadhya Koshtam is the ideal, and the others are departures from them. Krura is a one departure, Mrudu is another departure, and Kabhamadhya is another type. So everywhere we are trying to set an ideal and explain how the doshas influence the ideal post birth, at any time after birth, when we encounter somebody in the clinic or in our life. At that particular time, we are trying to understand how his Agni is influenced or how his Koshta is influenced. And we have explained in detail what is the significance of bringing forth these two characters, Agni and Koshta. Now, we are going one step backward and see how these doshas can influence the situation at the time of birth itself. At the time of birth itself, strategy is same. Strategy is same. What we have done in the case of Agni and Kosta, the same thing we will do here also. We will set one ideal and see how things can depart. So here the word we will now, with this background, we will see the sloga. Shuklartavasthaihi taihi. Taihi means three doshas. By these three doshas, Shuklartavasthaihi. That is the speciality. Shuklartavasthaihi. Shuklasthaihi artavasthaihi cha. So doshas are situated in Shukla, doshas are situated in Artava. Shukla means the Purusha Bija, Artava means the Stri Bija. Actually, these Bijas are coming together to form the next birth, the offspring. So that way, Shukla Dhadu is Ardha Dhadu. Shukla Dhadu generates the Bija in Purusha as well as Stri, male and female. So they are Ardha Dhadus, even though we find that and in a different point that Dhadus has got some Shrestha karmas like Prenanam, Jivanam, Leva, Sneho, Dharana, Purane. We all know that Rasa Dhadu does not need anybody else help to do the Prenana karma. Similarly, Rasa can do the Jivana dharma. But the Shukla Dhadu of one person cannot do Garbhodpadanam. It is not independent. It needs one half from the other gender. If it is Purusha, it needs one half from the other gender, Stri. And this Shukra Dhadu is a part and parcel of one person, male and female. And we all know that these things are continuously influenced by various factors, including Vayoho, Ratri, Bhuktanam, all these things. So when there is an influence of dosha prevailing within the system, in the body, obviously all dhadus will be getting that influence reflected. So at the time of Garbhadhanam, Purusha Bija may have certain dosha sthiti. Stri Bija also may have certain Bija sthiti, and they fuse. Shuddhe Shuklartave Sattva Swakarma Klesha Choditaha. We all know those details. So at that time of fusion, whichever dosha is prevailing, predominantly existing in this combination, that will become the very basic nature, normal of that Garbha. If at the time of fusion, by some reason or the other, Vayu is predominating. Okay, 3 plus in Purusha Bija, 1 plus in Stri Bija, 3 plus 1, 4. The rest of the two doshas were not that predominant. So obviously, this Garbha is going to be 3 plus 1, 4 plus Vada predominant. Fine, as an example. So this Garbha is made with the Vada predominance. It is not something which is added post birth, but this is added as at the time of birth itself. It is something like we are going to make dosha. Fine. When we were preparing this batter for dosha, we make the batter, and so we grind the rice and the urad dal together, mix them properly, add proper amount of water and add salt to it, and the batter is ready for making the dosa. So the level of salt that you add to the batter is going to be the prakriti of the dosa. You cannot change it. Whatever you make out of this batter will have that representation of salt. You cannot alter it laterwards. You make dosa out of this batter, that dosa will be having that particular quantity or quality of lavanam. After making the dosa, when you add something else, maybe some chutney or something like that, you may be able to alter the quantity of salt in it, which is not going to affect the dosa. But the salt which you added to the batter at the time of making the batter, before the dosa making, I think it is not going to change. That is the prakriti of that batter. So all vikritis, doshas are vikritis, batter is the prakriti. So all vikritis made out of this particular batter containing X grams of salt will have equal representation of this salt. All the vikriti, all the doshas made out of this batter will be having the same. It is unchangeable. That is the status. That is the status of dosha predominance that is going to happen at the time of that janmadau. Janmadau. So shuklartavasthaihi janmadau. Taihi tridoshaihi tisraha prakritayah yathakramam hina madhyottamaha. Vadena hina prakriti, pittena madhya prakriti, kabhena uttama prakriti. Prathak. Prathak. Why the word prathak? Samsarga is also possible. Samsarga is also possible. The next is samadhadu. Samadhadu is samastasu shrestha. Samastasu. Out of all the prakritis, samastasu prakritishu shrestha samadhadu. Nindyaha dvidoshajaha. Dvidoshajaha prakritayah. Nindyaha. They are nindyam. So here we find that prakriti, a concept of prakriti is there, which is decided at janmadi and decided by shuklartavasthaihi taihi prathak hina madhyottamaha tisraha prakritayah dvidoshajaha tisraha prakritayah nindyaha samadhadu. The word used is samadhadu, dharanad dhadavaha. Even not the word dosha is used, because when you use the word dosha, there is some tendency, some inclination, some hue of the possibility of dushti. Even that hue of dushti is not there in samadhadu, in samadosha prakriti. So Acharya made it a point that I'm not going to use the word dosha here. Samadosha prakriti, not samadosha prakriti, it is samadhadu. And that is samastasu prakritishu shrestha. Dvidoshajaha nindyaha. And one example is given. The entire concept is explained using a metaphor. Visheneva vishakrimehe. Visheneva vishakrimehe. Vishakrimi. It is born out of visha. Vishakrimi is born out of visha. So it is something like the salt added to the batter. From the visha, this vishakrimi is emerging. So that is a very basic status of the vishakrimi. So the visham is not going to harm the vishakrimi. Basically, the Visham is a dangerous stuff. Similarly, basically a dosha predominance is a dangerous stuff. You are not supposed to have it. You are supposed to maintain samadosha. Samadosha, samagnischa, samadhadu, malakriya, we find it. But here, it is something like as Vishakrimi emerging out of Visha, and Visha becomes its Prakriti, an individual emerges from a particular dosha status which need not be. It can be, but need not be samadosha. So there can be a dosha vikriti or dosha vaishamya, but that dosha vikriti is the prakriti for this individual, like the visha for the vishakrimi. So there is no question of that visha hurting the krimi. Similarly, this dosha vaishamyam hurting this individual. But that tells many other things, that you have to take care of this particular status all throughout your life, otherwise it is going to kill you, harm you later in your life. So that is told in detail, so in some other situation. So this concept of prakriti is very important. And hina madhya uttamaha, they are known as hina, madhya and uttama. Hina prakriti. Heenam. Heenam means something inferior. It is heenam, something inferior. Madhyam, something lying in between. Uttamam, something superior. Inferior and intermediate and superior. They are comparative terms. They are comparative terms. Heenam, madhyam and uttamam. Vada prakriti is heenam, pitta prakriti is madhyamam, kabha prakriti is uttamam. The notion is comparative. When you compare between different stuffs, there should be some sort of an attribute based on which you are making the comparison. You cannot compare without any variable, without any attribute. When you compare two children, you may be comparing them with in terms of the marks they gained in Padartha Vijnanam. Fine. Heenam, Madhyamam, Uttamam. Or the rank they attained in the final re-examinations. Okay, fine. Heenam, Madhyamam, Uttamam. In the same way, these three prakritis are compared here in terms of positive attributes that the individual is going to get. The positive attributes that the individual is going to get. In Hina Prakriti, the positive attributes are heenam, inferior, minimal. In Uttama Prakriti, that is Shleshma Prakriti, the positive attributes are more than the negative attributes. And in Pitta, there is some sort of a balance in between Hina and positive attributes and negative attributes. So it is a comparative notion that they have used, Hina, Madhya and Uttama. That is very important. It is not absolute. When you go through the Prakriti, we will find this. In Vada Prakriti, there are certain positive attributes, but many negative attributes. In Pitta, there is a balance. In Kabha, there are more positive attributes and minimal negative attributes. Whereas in Shrestha, Samadhadu, Samastasu Shrestha, there are no negative attributes at all. So it is not a comparative notion. It is not a comparative notion. That is the difference between Uttama Prakriti and Shrestha Prakriti. Uttama Prakriti is a comparative notion when compared with the Vayu and the Pitta. This is better. Whereas Shrestha Prakriti, there are no negative attributes, only positive attributes. There is no comparison with anything else. It is the best possible. It is the best possible, and there are no negative attributes at all. So we have got Hina Madhya Uttamaha, Prithak Tisraha Prakritayah, and Shrestha Samadhada Samadho Dosha Prakriti or Samadhadu Prakriti, which is Shrestha. Dvidoshajaha Nindyaha. Dvidoshaja Prakritis are known as Nindya Prakriti because in any sort of intervention, in all ways of life, there may be contradicting with one another, with each other. They may be contradicting with each other. That is the problem with Dvidoshaja Prakriti. We will come to it. We will find what are the contradicting factors between two doshas. So in Dvidoshaja Prakriti, because of this potential contradiction in every ways of life, in every activities you perform, they are known as Nindya. They are Nindya. So this is how this concept of Prakriti is introduced. Here also we set one ideal, that is Samadhadu or Shrestha Prakriti, and the departures possible by the influence of three doshas are mentioned. You can depart it to such an extent that you become Hina Prakriti. You may depart to the other end becoming Uttama Prakriti, and you can also the freedom, not the freedom, it is by chance, not by choice, of course, to become Nindya Prakritis, that is Dvidoshaja Prakritis as well. So this is very, very important concept regarding Prakriti, and it is based on this concept of Prakriti that we always consider our approach as more customized, personalized, or that sort of concepts we use very often. I do not know how far this concept is perceived properly. Post birth, many people may look alike. Many people may look alike. But you should explore further into understand this Prakriti. It is something like, see, I will give you a better example. We have three idols, Vigrahas. Three idols made in the shape of maybe X, Y, Z. Okay, let it be Ganesha. Three Ganesha Vigrahas. Look alikes. No difference at all. Everything with the luster of gold placed over our table. Three Ganesha Vigrahas. So at one point of time, we think that, okay, there are a lot of dust on these Vigrahas and we will wash them. And we, with the intention of washing and making the Ganesha Vigrahas clean, we put them in a big basin of water. The moment you put the three idols in the water, which were look-alikes, all in golden color with proper luster, we place them in water. One idol just floats over the water. The other two got immersed down to the basin. Surprisingly, you try the floating idol and you find that it was made out of thermocol. It was made out of thermocol and painted later in golden luster. Fine. So you put it back on the table. That cannot be washed, and that need not be washed in the same way as we are supposed to wash the other two, which are already down on the basin, immersed in the water. Then you try to get the next idol proper for washing. You get the next one, the second one. You take it out, wash properly. It becomes more and more lustrous in golden color. You are happy. You mop it down and you place it on the table. Fine. Then you try for the third one, and by the time you try to touch it down on the floor, on the basin, there is no idol at all, because it was made out of clay, and by this time that got completely dissolved in water. The idol is no more. So in the beginning, on the tabletop, all the three idols were lookalikes. No difference at all, made out of the same cast, lustrous, golden. But the moment you put them in water, the moment you subjected them with some sort of a stress, their prakriti became evident. So whenever you subject a person with certain stress, the prakriti becomes evident. One idol was floating over the water, the other one was resistant to all sorts of stress and it came out more lustrous. The third one got collapsed, dissolved in the water because it was clay. This is what prakriti is. Outside the water, when there is no stress, they may be looking alike. They may be looking alike, but subjected to a stress, they will reveal what their prakriti is. So this concept should be there in our mind while we are looking for the prakriti of an individual, while you are assessing the gravity of pain that the patient is presenting, while assessing the type of dosha that the patient is coming to you with, and the type of prescription that you are going to make for a particular patient. This is not related with chikitsa alone. This is related with the friendship that you are going to make, the relations you are going to make, the job you are going to take. Everything can be connected this way or that way to this what the idol is made out of, whether it is a thermocol idol, whether it's a clay idol or real gold idol. So that is very important. So we have shuklartavasthaihi janmadau visheneva vishakrimehe taischa tisra prakritayah hinamadhyottamaha prathak samadhadu samastasu shrestha nindya dvidoshaja. So that is very important. So up to this level, I think we have come across the three doshas from the basic introduction. Of course, there are many things yet to explore. So vada, pitta, kapha, then the importance of this status of vada, pitta, kapha, vikrita, vikritaha, khnandi, vartayandi. So all these principles what we have seen so far, including that vayoho ratri bhuktanam te andamadhyadikaha te vyapinobi, all these things can be divided into these two boxes or two tables. Vikritaha ghnandi, avikritaha vartayandi. Vikritaha ghnandi, avikritaha vartayandi. And we look for that avikrita status. So that is how the point up to this area is going to conclude. Fine. And I think before going to this description about ruksha, that tatra ruksho lekhushita, that is the next area, I would like to say something more for a better understanding or a better thought process regarding the doshas. So up to this point, we already saw that we are dividing everything into a normal and their departure. Fine, a normal and their departure. So as far as the existence of Sharira is concerned, as far as the existence of the Vartayandi, existence of Sharira is concerned, all the duties will be delivered properly, even though there may be contradictory features among doshas. They will not contradict. When it is avikrita, in spite of the potential contradictory factors inherent to the doshas, they will not contradict. Instead, they will complement one another. And each dosha is representing one subsystem in the body. Each dosha is representing one subsystem in the body. Together, these three doshas represent three subsystems to form a larger system called Sharira, or even Ayus maybe. So these three subsystems coming together work complementary to one another to make a larger system. So that way, the concept of Tridoshas or the Tridosha Siddhantam represents a particular type of biological representation, which may be called as a system of systems. That way, Sharira is a system of systems. And these three doshas can be seen representing the three subsystems. We can compare this with the constants. The constants that we see in many other contexts of scientific explanations, like the universal constants or physical constants. We all are familiar with the concept of constants. A constant is a number. Constant is a number expressing a relation or property. A number which expresses the relation or property which remains the same, which remains same for the same substance as long as the same conditions prevail. So it is a number or relation, a number which expresses a relation or property which remains the same for the same substance under the same condition. In the same manner, doshas can be expressed as the biological constants in a system called Sharira. Doshas can be considered as the biological constants, not physical constants, but biological constants that exist in the Sharira, which continues to be in the sameness, as long as the sahacharyas, the environmental factors are same. As long as the environmental factors are same, kalartha karmanam yogo hina mithyadi matraka, that explains the sahacharya, the environment. So as long as the kalartha karmanam yoga remains to be samyag, unchanged, optimally finalized or fixed, these three systems, Vata, Pitta and Kapha, remains in their optimal level of constant to support the system called Sharira by complementing one another. So that may be giving you a better understanding about what the Tridosha Siddhanta is trying to speak about, and everything related with the departure from the normal. So for Vata Prakriti does not has an ideal, but it has a normal. Pitta Prakriti does not has an ideal, but he has a normal. That normal need not be the normal of Vata Prakriti, whereas ideal cannot be different. But this normal is set for a particular situation. So the normal of Vata Prakriti is his Arogya Avastha. Whenever you are dealing with a Vata Prakriti, you have to keep him stable on his normal. Don't try for the ideal. When you are treating a Kapha Prakriti, the Shamanam or whatever treatment you are going to do is intended to take him to his normal, not to the ideal. So all these concepts are deeply embedded in whatever things we have discussed so far. That is very important. or that is the crux of the story. Fine. With that, we will see how all these principles are explained in their separate individual characteristics. The next sloka. Tatra ruksho laghu sitaha ghara sukshmaschalo anilaha. Tatra ruksho laghu sitaha ghara sukshmaschalo anilaha. I will read out the other two doshas as well. Pittam sasneha tikshnoshnam laghu visram saram dravam snigdha sido gurur mandaha slakshno mritsna sthira kabhaha. Snigdha sido gurur mandaha slakshno mritsnaha sthira kabhaha. So now, from whatever we have explained so far, as we saw in our last session, gives some idea about how that particular principle should be, which makes Koshta Krura and Agni Vishama. From that, we derive that it is an experience. How Agni is getting altered, how Koshta is getting influenced, an experience. It is a karma. It is a karma, pratyaksha karma. Karma bhistu anumiyande nana dravyashraya gunaha. Karma bhistu anumiyande. So from our experience of that karma, how the particular principle called X influenced the Koshta, or that principle called X influenced Agni, or that particular principle influenced the Prakriti, we come to the anumana that particular principle should be Ruksha, Laghu, Sida, Ghara, Sukshma, and Chalaha. That is how we come to the conclusion that Tatra Ruksho, Laghu, Sitaha, Gharaha, Sukshmaha, Chalaha, Anilaha. Anilaha. Aniti. Aniti. Iti Anilaha. Something which moves. Chalanam. And Chalanam. Something which makes others move. Another meaning of Aniti is Aniti Jivayati or Jivati. So something which gives life. Chalanam. Chalanam is a representation of life as well. So Aniti iti Anilaha. Tatra Anilaha Rukshaha, Laghuhu, Sitaha, Gharaha, Sukshmaha, Chalaha. So in this list, of course, the first one is supposed to be the representative of the class. So Rukshata represents this system of Vayu. We have seen that it is a subsystem of the whole system. So obviously, the first characteristic explained here is going to represent the entire class. Rukshata is going to be the representative of this class or this division called Vayu, Anilaha. Rukshata, we will learn all these individual gunas in detail later. Rukshaha, Parusha, in touch, in stuff also. Laghu, Sitaha, Gharaha. Gharaha is Amrudu. Sukshmaha, Chalaha. All these are supposed to be the characteristics which represent Anila. Pittam. Pittam sasneha tikshnoshnam. Laghu, Visram, Saram, Dravam. Pittam is sasneha tikshnoshnam. So which is the characteristic which is going to represent Pitta, the division called Pitta? It is Tikshnoshnam. That is a one block, Tikshnoshnam. And that Tikshnoshnam is Visishtam. It is not just Tikshnoshnam. That Tikshnoshnam is Sasneha Tikshnoshnam. Sasneha Tikshnoshnam. Don't misunderstand that Sneham is the first member of Pitta Gunas. The first member of Pitta Gunas is a block called Tikshnoshnam. And that Tikshnoshnam is Vishishtam, by the presence of little bit of sneham. Sasneha Tikshnoshnam, with sneha. Tikshnam. Tikshnam comes from the word or the root which means Tejayadi. So that represents the Prakasham, Tejas, embedded in Pittam. And it also shows the Tivrata, Ugrata. Later we will find that Shodhane Tikshna. It represents the Shikhrakarita, the sharpness, the fast, the swiftness, then the luster. All these things are embedded in this word called Tikshnam. Ushnam, it is Ushnam. And Tikshnoshnam is Sasneham. That means it denies the presence of Rukshada added on to the Tikshnoshnada in normalcy. When the Rukshada is added, it will become something else. It will become very harmful. It will char off all entire stuff. Fine. Visrata. Visram is again, we are going to see later. Visram is Amagandhada. Raw fish or raw meat. The smell of raw meat or rotten meat sometimes. Saram. Saram shows the Vyapanashilata. Visramsata. Shagrud Visramsi. All these things are represented by Saram. Kabham is Snigdha. So the first member of the characteristics of Shleshma is Snigdha. Shito Gurur Mandaha Shlakshno Mritsnaha. So there are many things. I think Shlakshnada shows the Aparushata. Snigdhada shows the Masrinata. All are representative of the Kam, Kena, Kam, Jalam, Kena Jalena. Mritsnaha. Mritsnata means Mritsadrishata. As if you feel the grittiness in a stored ghee. The same sort of grittiness is envisaged in the stuff of Shleshma. Mridyamane Anguligrahi idi Arunadattaha. Pichilaha idi Hemadri. So all these things are represented in the word called Mritsnam. Kabham is Mritsnam. So all these properties, as we explained earlier, are Anumeya. Karma bhistu anumiyande. From whatever we have seen so far from Prakriti, Koshtam, Agni or whatever it is, which are karmas, these properties are Anumeyam. And this Swarupa Varnanam of dosha is very important. The main use of this Swarupa Varnanam is that in this system called Shariram, wherever you meet with these characteristics, the presence of the respective dosha should be inferred. The presence of the respective dosha should be inferred within the Sharira. Anda Sharire. Sharira Bahya Prapanche. Sharira Bahya Vastu Sanchaye. In everything outside the body, in the Vastu Sanjayam, what we see outside, the same concept can be taken into consideration. The same concept can be applied. Wherever you find these characteristics in a dravya outside the body, you can assume that it has got the samanata with this dosha. So that way also it is very significant. So I think we have got a very detailed spectrum of understanding, one after the other, from one degree to the next degree, from one level to the next level. Lot of things that can be taken or assimilated for a better understanding of Sharira, and that is very important also in clinical practice as well as in Swastha Vritta. As everybody is aware of, Ayurveda basically takes 6 padarthas into its consideration. Padartha means categories or terms of discussions. Padartha, padasya artha. And these 6 padarthas everybody is aware of, that samanyam ja vishesham ja gunan dravyani karma ja samavayam ja tatnyatva. Charaka explains it very well. Out of these 6 padarthas, doshas are considered as dravyas. It is paribhashikam. Doshas are considered as dravyas. And the dravya is very well defined. Yatra ashrita karma guna karanam samavayya tad dravyam. So, yatra karma gunaha ashritaha, the same things should fulfill with the doshas. Karanam samavayya, yad samavayi karanam, that should fulfill with the dosha. So, as these conditions are okay with the doshas, they are considered as dravyas. That is very important understanding. Dosha is a dravya. There is always confusion about it. Sometimes we tend to say that it is urja, it is energy, or something else, or that way or this way. There should not be any confusion. Paribhashike, as per the paribhasha which is taken for granted in Ayurveda, doshas are dravya. Then further, the next line, what we see is samsarga sannipadascha tad dvitrikshayakopataha. Samsargaha sannipadascha tad dvitrikshayakopataha. Dvitrikshayakopataha samsargaha sannipataha cha. We have seen that vikrita doshas cause damage, destruction, and the vikriti can be either kshaya or vriddhi. And this vikriti or kshaya need not happen prathak, alone. There can be combined vriddhi, combined kshaya, and the combination, the state of combined doshas can be either of 2, then 3 possibilities, or all together there is 1 possibility. So samsargaha is called the combination of 2 doshas to cause vriddhi or kshaya. Vikriti. Kshaya kopataha. Kshaya kopataha. Here kopa means a complete vriddhi. Kshayam means a kshayam, kshinavastha. And sannipataha is 3 kshayam or 3 kopam. So this sapnya, actually this sapnya is meant for the vyavahara, tandra vyavahara. Tandra vyavaharartham sapnyadvayam samsargaha sannipadaha cha. Dvitrikshayakopataha dvayoho trayanam cha kshayakopabhyam samsargaha sannipadaha cha bhavati. So samsarga sannipadaha cha. Fine. Then in general, even though we call the kshayavastha as samsarga and sannipada, in practical purpose, only the vriddhi is referred to as samsarga or sannipada. Technically, kshaya is also considered as either samsarga or sannipada. But for practical purposes, only the vriddhi is taken into that level. Samsarga vriddhi and sannipada vriddhi. The kshaya is not in general, of course, for practical purposes, not included in that purview. So that is about samsargaha sannipataha cha tadvitri kshayakopataha. With this explanation, up to this level, we have completed the Sharira in the Ayurvedic concept. Almost to some extent. Almost to some extent. One major part of Sharira is completed. Dosha, the concept of dosha. But there are certain more other factors which are to be included. They are, we have seen that doshas are doshas because they cause dushti to something else. So now in the Sharira, we have to look for those factors which are on the receiving end of this dushti, which are on the receiving end of this dushti. They are known as dushya. They are known as dushya. Dushayitum yogyam, dushyam, dusha. So they are on the receiving end of this dushana swabhava of dosha. So now from here onwards, we will be seeing what are the dushyas. Because as far as arogya or roga is concerned, there are two sets of causes. One is antaranga nidanam and the other one is bahiranga nidanam. Bahiranga nidanam we have seen earlier. That means not earlier, we just spoken of that bahiranga nidanam. Kalartha karmanam yogaha hina mithyadi matraga, which we will see in detail later. Whereas the antaranga nidanas are doshas and dushyas. Now we have completed the explanation about doshas. Now we have to find what the dushyas are. So the next portion or the next shloka continues with what these dushyas are. We will just read that shloka, but I think we will discuss it on the next session, because I think we will, otherwise we will not get sufficient time. So next, the antaranga hedus are going to be completed by adding the reference of dushyas. Rasasrang mamsa medosthi majja shukrani dhadavaha sapta dushyaha malaha mutra shagrit swedadayo bhicha. Rasasrang mamsa medosthi majja shukrani dhadavaha sapta dushyaha mala mutra shagrit swedadayo bhicha. So we'll just see rasasrang mamsa medosthi majja shukrani sapta dhadavaha bhavanti dushyaha cha bhavanti. First set of dushyas. These sapta dhadavaha, they are dushyaha bhavanti. Again, mutra shagrit swedadayaha api dushyaha bhavanti. Mutra shagrit swedadayaha api dushyaha bhavanti. So by introducing the rasadi sapta dhadavaha and mutradi malaha, dushyas are introduced. We will discuss them in detail in the next session. In the remaining 5 minutes, I think we will discuss if there is something. Okay, fine. Now we will see what are the things in the chat box. First one is by a participant called Madhumita. How do we decide the normal for Dvidoshaja Prakriti? In the combination of two doshas, the manifestation can be numerous. Then, does the comfort of the patient decide the normal avastha, or we should set a different set of ideals for them? First of all, I will say that don't use the word ideal here, because it is nothing related with it. We will set a normal. And as you rightly pointed out, it is quite difficult to find out which is the normal for a Dvidoshaja Prakriti. That is why it is Nindya. Even to set some sort of a point of basic reference, something like the x-axis for that person, to fix the x-axis for that person itself is very difficult. So I think by making some sort of a assessment about, as you rightly mentioned, the comfort level, the sukhavastha, swasthyavastha of that patient, you have to set the x-axis. That is the only way out. That is why Dvidoshaja Prakriti is known as this Nindya. Then there is another point of discussion. We will see it. Ghara is the Lakshana of Prithvi. How could Vada, the Dravya having Vayu, Akasha, Bhuta predominance, exhibit the Lakshana of Prithvi? Gharata here is the feeling of that Parushyam. Parushyam is the manifestation of extreme Rukshata. So when there is Ruksha is the basic feature of Vayu, obviously it makes all its substratum Ghara. I don't think that there is any conflict in why. I do not know why the Prithvi is brought here as Ghara. If the question is clarified more, I think I may be able to give better idea. Gharada is related with the Rukshada, the extreme Rukshada, which is generating this Gharada. Gharasparshada, Parushasparshada. It's not related with Prithvi, but it is more related with the Rukshada of Vayu. Then next point in the chat box is kindly explain difference between Tridoshaja and Sannipadaja. Is it related to Prakriti? Shraddha, if you can clarify, is it related with the Prakriti? I presume that it is related with the Prakriti. Tridoshaja Prakriti. Actually, there is a debate always whether there is a Sannipada Prakriti or not. Answer is there is no Sannipada Prakriti, but there is Samadhatu or Samadosha Prakriti. Samadosha Prakriti is a Prakriti which is derived out of all the three doshas are in Samavastha. All the three doshas are in Samavastha. That is why it is known as the Shrestha Prakriti. In Sannipada, as we just saw, it is the Vriddhi or Kshaya. Ideally, Vriddhi. Predominance is taken as the Prakriti, so here we will take it as Vriddhi. So when all the three doshas are Vriddha, the fact is there is no, because of that Sannipada Dushti in the Bijas, Garbhadhanam will not happen. The Garbhadhanam will not happen. So there is no question of a person living with Sannipada Prakriti. That is the problem. Whereas Samadosha Prakriti is all the three doshas are not Vriddha but in Samavastha. Next point is, as per Swastha definition, Samadosha, Samagni, very few are Swastha. While doing treatment, what can we do? Means as per Prakriti or Swastha definition. Yeah, that is an interesting question, interesting point. You have to set the normal, as I just explained in the previous point. You have to set the x-axis according to the Prakriti of the individual. Swastha, definition of Swastha can be taken as an ideal, whereas the patient lives on a normal. So you draw the x-axis according to the Prakriti of the individual and do the treatment. That's an interesting point. Thank you for that. Then next is, a Vada Prakriti person is expected to have Vishamagni and Krura Koshta. So whether there should be constant effort to keep it in Samagni and Madhyama Koshta, or we should leave it as it is, considering it as the Prakrita with respect to that person. Again, that's also a good question. And one thing is that the Vada Prakriti or whichever Prakriti it is need not be always connected with the Vishamagni and Krura Kostada. We may meet with some sort of a false notions if we presume like that, because even a Kabha Prakriti can go through a Vishamagnida. Even a Kabha Prakriti can have Krura Koshta by the influence of the Nidanas later. Because the status of Koshta and Agni can change from time to time according to the influence of the Nidana factors. There is some state of Koshta and Agni which is not going to be influenced by these extrinsic factors, which is going to be set as the x-axis of that person. That is to be taken as the term, as the baseline of reference. That is to be taken as the baseline of reference, and that particular person should go through that dinacharya, that ahara and that vihara, wherein his Koshta, Agni or whatever factors are there is not getting hiked through the y-axis upward or backward. So that is his normal. So ahara should be, if the Vada Prakriti, he should be taking sufficient snigdhada to make his Agni sthira and samapajana according to his normal only. Don't go for the ideal. Don't go for the ideal, but always set normal only. I hope it is clear. Can you explain the difference between snigdha and mritsna? Fine. See, mritsna is used here to explain the swarupa of Kabha. Acharya prefers to give some sort of a swarupa varnanam as well. And all these attributes used are not included in the list of Sharirika Gunas or Vimshati Gunas. You all know it. So, Mritsna is something about the swarupa, need not be related with the guna. So, Snigdhada on a particular period of standing related with its sthira guna. So snigdha with sthira may be giving the shleshma a mritsna swarupam. So mritsna swarupam is not the guna as such as we deal with the Vimshati guna. It is about the swarupa. Snigdhada is definitely contributing for this swarupa. Snigdhada is contributing for this swarupa. So I think it is clear. So that were the points that we have to discuss. Of course, anybody else who is having a difference in opinion or a different opinion can express it, because this platform of Swadhyayam should be very democratic. That need not be something like I know everything and you all know nothing. It is not like that. So there should be a proper communication. Sir, can we say mritsna is smoothness? It is more about the, as I told earlier, mritsna is explained by the Arunadatta as mridyamane anguligrahi. So when you touch or when you pass a mritsna dravya between your fingers, it tends to keep your fingers attached together, adherent together. That is why Hemadri uses the word pichila to represent the mritsna, or something of related to that nature. It is not about the smoothness alone, but the nature to tendency to stick also. Yeah, somewhat a stickiness. They are not, nowhere else the word is used. That's the problem. Only in this context, Vagda uses the mritsnata. Right. So, shall we conclude? Charaka told only one prakriti. All are doshala. Yeah, actually, it is when we go to the Charaka, there are many preparedness required for learning that, because there are concepts which are presented as Purva Paksha in the Charaka, in the entire text itself, you will find many concepts regarding Prakriti in different contexts. Because some areas they are represented or they are presented as Purva Pakshas. So it is something like a Shishya Sutra sometimes it is Acharya Sutra or Guru Sutra, sometimes it is a Purva Paksha which will be negated later. So that sort of complexity is there in Charaka. So don't take one point extracted from one context as the ultimate opinion of Charaka Samhita. There are multiple discussions about the Prakriti in Charaka. So we will conclude, I think. Thank you very much and have a good day for all of you. Namaste.